All right. Well, we've got some big news starting a week from Monday. We thought we were going to do it this Monday, but it's going to be a week from Monday, June the 10th. A brand new show. It's going to be right here on TBN debuts. It's called Huckabee Today. What an original title, right? Every week, Monday through Friday, I'm going to be giving some common sense commentary, holding conversations with fascinating people. So tune in and set your DVR. Every weekday, 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central, starting Monday, June the 10th. I'm very excited about this new show, and I hope you will be as well. But don't worry, the Huckabee Show on TBN every weekend is not only continuing, we just signed an agreement to extend this show. So buckle up, America. Yeah, because you may get more of me than you can stand. Hey, I was shocked, but I really wasn't that surprised that a New York jury, pushed by perhaps the most compromised and corrupt judge in America, convicted President Trump on some of the most absurd charges filed against anyone, much less the political opponent for the sitting President Joe Biden. Folks, it's a sad day for America and for justice. Donald Trump has been bombarded by Joe Biden's Department of Injustice in 2 trials already, and the White House has further helped coordinate and engineer 2 other bias trials, one in state court in Georgia and another in federal court in Florida. Much to the shock of the mainstream media and the leftist Democrats in the White House and in Congress, Donald Trump's support and poll numbers go up instead of down with each of the 91 mostly ridiculous charges filed against him. You know what it's like? It's like watching a Roadrunner cartoon with Joe Biden and his bunch playing the role of Wile E. Coyote and Donald Trump starring as the ever-elusive Roadrunner. Now, the big question that the flacks in the media can't figure out is why. Well, the answer is simple. The American people just aren't as stupid as the Democrats think that we all are. So whether it's Hillary Clinton calling us a basket of deplorables, or the New York governor calling us clowns, or Joe Biden branding what he calls MAGA Republicans as a threat to democracy, even people who aren't inclined to vote for Donald Trump see this for what it is. It's more than the use of taxpayer-funded federal agencies to try and rig the election by keeping Donald Trump tied up in court or even convicted in various kangaroo courts by corrupt prosecutors and judges. It's that most Americans realize that if our government can use the powers of government to take down the people who criticize it or disagree with it, then the very same tactics will be used on them, not just on Donald Trump. They understand that it's not Donald Trump's freedom and due process that's being trampled. It's theirs. It's yours. We've seen New York Attorney General Letitia James prosecute Donald Trump for a very normal business deal in which he borrowed money, paid it all back, and made money for everyone involved. She claimed he committed the crime, even though the supposed victim, a major bank, was completely satisfied with the business deal. It was tried in the courtroom of a kook judge, someone who hates Trump and who hammed it up for the cameras as the trial took place. Things got even crazier with the New York prosecutor taking Trump to trial for a supposed crime that even the prosecutors could never name, and which the pursuit was turned down by 2 levels of the federal government and originally by Alvin Bragg, the New York prosecutor. He finally folded under the pressure of the Biden White House and took it to trial in a proceeding that's so bad that esteemed Harvard law professor and liberal Democrat Alan Dershowitz said that having done trials in 40 states and numerous foreign countries, he had never witnessed a court so devoid of fairness and constitutional rules as this one. Now get this, the judge is a Biden campaign contributor. His daughter is currently a Democrat political consultant raking in millions of dollars on helping anti-Trump candidates and causes. Let that sink in. This case should never have been allowed to take place in this wicked judge's courtroom with such obvious conflict of interest. But worse, he conducted the case without even a hint of judicial integrity, instead imposing an unconstitutional gag order on Donald Trump and denying the defense the opportunity to call key witnesses while having no problem with letting the prosecutors call convicted liar and serial perjurer Michael Cohen. The crooked judge even allowed a washed-up porn star to go unchallenged with sordid testimony that had nothing to do whatsoever with the charges against Trump. And this in spite of the fact that the same porn star signed a strong statement several years ago in which she vehemently denied ever having a relationship with Donald Trump that supposedly happened all the way back in 2008. As these ridiculous trials continue, there remains one in Georgia with the disgraced prosecutor Fannie Willis, who was caught paying her married boyfriend over $700,000 to be her special prosecutor. Yeah, special being the right word there. And then there's the federal case in Florida where some court jester named Jack Smith is going after Trump for having some papers from his presidency. Smith even conducted a raid on Trump's home where he ransacked Melania's closets and drawers. Even had federal agents authorized to use lethal force if necessary to get some documents for the National Archives. And just remember, if they can do this to Trump, they can do it to you. And worse, if they did it to Trump, sooner or later, they will do it to you. We cannot allow these self-appointed government gods the ability to shred the Constitution and use government power to cheat your votes from you. And the election in November may just be our last chance to fix it. My next guest has been fighting for conservative values his whole career. He's an Iraq war veteran, an attorney, Air Force chaplain, and previously served as the ranking member on the House Judiciary Committee while representing the state of Georgia in Congress. You've seen him many times on television. You've seen him on this show. We have him here because we like him. Would you please welcome the host of the Doug Collins podcast, former Congressman Doug Collins. Well, Congressman, I think it's fair to say we've had a pretty big day in this country with the verdict coming down this week. And I don't know about you, but there was a part of me that was disappointed, not as much shocked. I think I kind of half expected it, even though the trial was a joke. But the other part of me was deeply sad.
Yes.
What was your reaction?
I was just sitting here, we're getting ready to come to the show today and, talk about a lot of other things. And I was sitting there and you, from your pastor background, my pastor background, you knew somebody, it's almost like this feeling you knew something was going to happen. You knew somebody was maybe dying, so to speak. And it still, when it happened, there was just that cold chill.
Yeah.
But yet this is different because this is about my country. This is about a cold chill that developed in a courtroom in which I, as an attorney, believe that is what makes us different than the rest of the world. The rule of law, going before a judge. If they're going to be able to take your freedoms, they got to prove their case. That it's not just about Donald Trump. It's about everybody.
Well, that's what I hope people understand. I had reactions from people that I hadn't heard from in a long time. And within minutes of this happening, they were saying, I'm not a political person, never a big fan of Trump, but I just sent him money. I'm going to do everything I can. One guy said, I'll crawl across broken glass between now and November to try to get him elected. And I'm thinking, these are people that are not hypercharged politicos like guys like you and me, but they see the unfairness. They see that something is wrong when the way they are trying to beat Donald Trump is not at the ballot box, it's at the jury box.
Yeah, and I want to think clear because when right after this happened, the Biden tweeted out that we're going to beat him on November 5th. And I want to warn everybody, don't let them do this. Yeah. Don't let them try to get by this trial. They wanted the guilty tag on him so that they could run it, but then they just want you to sort of overlook it and just run straight to it, not to say, how did we get here? This is just wrong. And I think, look, if I was the Democrats, I'd be worried too. When you've got a guy who actually has trouble finding his way on and off the stage, when he shakes hands with nobody, when he starts to discuss things and all of a sudden he runs off into, I hate to say this, Kamala Harris, the vice president, actually makes can actually make sense compared to Joe Biden speaking sometimes.
That's a pretty bold statement.
I struggle with that, but I mean it's true. But if that's what I had to deal with, I would try any other way, because right now they know the American people aren't buying what they're selling, because they see it in their gas pump, they see it in their grocery bill, they see it in the illegals pouring across this border with impunity, doing whatever they want to do. So this is the way they try to do it. And when you have, here's what bothers me. You've ran for office, I have as well. In elections, you say what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Well, Alvin Bragg said exactly what he was going to do. I'm going to get Donald Trump. Letitia James, I'm going to get Donald Trump. Since when do prosecutors run on getting a certain individual and finding a crime? It's about prosecuting safety and keeping us safe, and they fail miserably.
I think you just made the most important point of all. The whole process of our criminal justice system is to go after a crime, not a person.
Yes.
What they have done is to borrow that line from the old Stalinist who worked for Joseph Stalin, who said, "You show me the man, I'll find the crime."
Yep.
And that's really what we've seen, is that this wasn't about that they found some raging thing Donald Trump did. They never articulated what his crime was throughout the entire 7 weeks of a trial. I've never seen anything quite like this.
No, I told somebody the other day on one of the interviews, I said, I want to go back and be a prosecutor. If all you have to do is accuse somebody and then you don't have to prove anything, I'll go do that all day long.
Just go get a judge that'll agree with you.
Exactly. Just find a judge that says, yep, I agree. But you've hit on it perfectly here, because the problem that has now become obvious in two court cases. One in which the fraud that was committed was a bank which they never allow for their people to come testify. Came testified and said, yep, we gave him money. He paid us back. We made money, and we'd like to have him again.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
And that's
where's
a crime?
Where's the fraud? I think that's called good business.
Yeah.
But, we don't have it. That was in that case. And now in this case, no crime named. You can pick one of four. Now think about that for a second.
Yeah.
If you're to be convicted on misdemeanors that had already went out of statute of limitations to start with, but the judge basically said, well, if you four pick that one and you four pick that one and you four pick that one, then that's unanimous. I mean, that ain't even new math anymore. We've just went into taking our shoes off and just pretending we're counting at this point.
Well, it's frightening to me, and we've got to take a break. When we come back, I want you to stay with me, because I want us to go from here, talk about the case in Georgia where you live, and then let's also get into what's going on in the Congress. And is there any hope for this? I hope so. Hey, we got a lot more to talk about with Doug Collins when we come right back. So in the meantime, Keith Bilbrey will be telling us exactly what's coming up on the rest of the show tonight. Keith, it's all yours.
Well, still to come, an impressive puppy performance with the Puppy Pals and a fantastic musical performance by Brindley Brown. All that and more on Huckabee. MikeHuckabee.com and sign up for his free newsletter and follow @GovMikeHuckabee on X.
Well, we are back with former Georgia Congressman Doug Collins. Before the break, we were talking about this trial, but there's one coming up in Georgia, if it ever gets there, because, boy, that's been a controversy. Fannie Willis, the prosecutor, kind of caught red-handed, funneling $700,000 to her boyfriend, who was married at the time, so he could be her special prosecutor. I mean, it's outrageous, but here's what I don't understand. Explain to us, how did she win her primary for re-election in Georgia?
Well, as most say, it was a given in that sense. Her primary, she was going to win. The Fulton County area, which she represents, is fairly Democratic area. North Fulton's a little more Republican. And by the way, we do have a Republican who is challenging her in the fall.
Who's been on our show.
Courtney Kramer, good. Yeah. And so we need to get behind that in support, because it's not just the trial. There's now been coming up evidence from the U.S. Senate who says that she had gotten money that she misspent, so there's been misappropriation of funds. There's all kinds of things that are surrounding this. The problem is, I hate to say this, when she first got elected, we actually thought that maybe this was an improvement because the one before her was a disaster. Well, she said, just hang on a second, hold my Diet Coke, I'll make sure you don't remember him anymore. She went right past that one. But again, it goes back to another prosecutor who basically decided, I'm going to go after this and make a name, I guess, for yourself. But the arrogance of what she's done down there is the appalling part. Is, doing this. And remember, most people forget this. You know how this started, the downfall of these motions that actually led this? Was because she got involved in his divorce trial in Cobb County. The DA used her own power to say, you can't subpoena me, you can't do this, and put it herself. Arrogance always leads to a fall.
Well, that's kind of what the scripture does teach us, doesn't it? One more time, it's proven to be true. Do you get as frustrated as I do, though? I agree with you very much, audience. But do you get frustrated? I do with sometimes our own Republicans. They've got the majority, but they don't act like they're in the majority. They act like they're whipped dogs and banished out to the backyard.
I bring up some points that shock a lot of people a lot of times. One to realize is this majority, that everybody talked about how small the majority was for Republicans. Well, we just can't get anything done. Well, hogwash. Nancy Pelosi had the exact same majority, and yet she pushed an infrastructure bill, a climate change bill, COVID relief package. She did it all. Because they stuck together, because they looked at policy as the end result. They look at changing America. I shared with you before we came on. Most people don't realize that in the last 32 years, Republicans have been in control on all but 8 years in the House of Representatives.
And I did not realize that.
8 years. Nancy Pelosi was Speaker for 8 years, both times. Both times she was told she would lose her speakership. But during that time, she was willing to give up position and power for policy. First time, she got Obamacare, Dodd-Frank, everything else. She just messed up our healthcare system, banking system, everything else. But she got what she wanted. She changed America, and it's still there. She waited 8 years. She became Speaker again. She tried to take down Donald Trump, and then she supported Joe Biden's very liberal agenda. We as Republicans and conservatives have got to realize that 218 votes is what you have in the House. Anything less than 218 is a YouTube video or a fundraising mechanism. And I would rather see my country change for the better than somebody posturing because they're not willing to compromise. We cannot divorce politics and reality, and we've done that in this country. Both sides have done it, and we got to get back to reality.
We need to send you back, Doug. Simple as that. Hey, thanks for being here. It's great to have you. Always is. I know you'd like to keep up with Doug Collins on his social media platforms. It's not hard. If you go to Huckabee.tv and click on his guest page, we'll get you all connected. Keith Bilbrey, would you be so kind as to set us up for the rest of the show?
Well, later tonight, Taya Colton and McKinney Kyle talk about finding joy in the loss of American sniper Chris Kyle. But first, Daily Signal reporter Mary Margaret Olohan dives into the harsh reality of detransitioners and gender ideology with her new book. That's next on Huckabee.
And welcome back, everybody. My next guest is a star reporter who for years has been a watchdog in the media for the pro-life community. And now with her new book, she's giving a voice to detransitioners who were just children when they were influenced to take medical interventions to change their gender. This is a courageous book and a very courageous young lady. I want you to give a warm welcome to Mary Margaret Olohan, senior reporter at the Daily Signal, author of Detrans, True Stories of Escaping the Gender Ideology Cult. Mary Margaret, I truly admire your courage. Most people don't want to take this issue on because it just gets people all riled up and they get angry about it. But you didn't just write your opinion, you went and talked to children who were talked into having their bodies mutilated. How did you get interested in this?
I got interested in this because as a culture wars reporter, I was doing a lot of work on culture wars, education, abortion, marriage, gender, family. And I started hearing about all these young people who were being pushed down the road to transition because young people in our world today are being lied to. They're being told that if they're lonely, if they feel awkward, if they don't like going through puberty, that maybe they're born in the wrong body. And that's a lie. And so many young people are being sold this lie. And I know from my reporting that telling true stories was one of the best ways to help people understand the truth about a situation. And I think that these stories of detransitioners are probably the strongest weapon in combating gender ideology. And so I felt like it was really important to talk to the detransitioners, the young people who tried to do the unthinkable and change their gender, and to put their real raw stories in a book that can go out to the world. And, maybe someone's not conservative, but they can read that book and understand the realities of these attempted gender transitions, and then they can know for themselves.
Because this really isn't a left or right or a conservative or liberal thing. This is really, how do you view a human being? Do you believe that they are created by God in one of two genders? Or do you believe God doesn't either doesn't exist, or he constantly makes big mistakes and puts people in the wrong body? Now, you were talking to children. How young were some of these children who were talked into a gender transition?
Some of these kids were as young as 12 or 13 when they first started talking to therapists and were pushed down this path. Chloe Cole is probably the most famous detransitioner. Chloe ultimately underwent a gender transition, or attempted gender transition, because we know it's actually impossible to do this, when she was under the age of 16. So that means she had to have the consent of her parents, which is truly tragic because parents are also the victims of this gender ideology madness. Of course, there's very selfish and narcissistic parents who push their kids to transition for their own benefit and for their own attention-seeking behaviors. But I think a lot of Americans are struggling with these unprecedented times.
You mentioned, and I know this was shocking, is that medical professionals will say, what do you want, a live girl or a dead boy? And they tell people that that's the option. If you don't let your child get mutilated through a gender transition, the child will commit suicide. But I've seen studies, and Mary Margaret, you could maybe validate this, that the likelihood of suicide actually goes up with people who go through this process, not down.
Right, it's a lie, and it's becoming more and more obvious every day. And I think that it is such a sinister thing that these doctors and therapists will look a parent in the eye, a parent who loves their kid, doesn't want them to undergo a double mastectomy. They think that's wrong, their gut's telling them it's wrong, so they trust the medical professionals who say, would you rather have a dead daughter or a living son? And that's a threat to the parent. If you don't do what we want, your kid will kill themselves. And it's so evil in every way.
There's a lot of money to be made by the medical community in all of this because it's a long-term medical need. Before we go, I just feel like that the most important question, what do you say to parents whose child is struggling, and they really are, and maybe they're influenced at school or by the media? How does a parent need to approach this? To give their child an affirmation and love and care, but not let them be exploited in this way.
Well, I was talking to a woman recently who I interviewed who told me that she struggled with gender dysphoria when she was a kid. She thought she was a boy. And she said that she was at a yard sale once and there was a car she wanted and she was kind of dressed like a boy. So a dad there saw her and said, oh, does that little boy want the car? And she was like, oh, yay, someone thinks I'm a boy. And her father responding said, she's not a boy, but she can have the car. And she said that moment was really validating for her because she realized, oh, I can have the car. I don't have to be a boy to have the car. And I think that's a really good example of how we love our kids. We let them, be a tomboy, grow up, but we give them the gift of childhood. We give them the gift of time. We don't rush anyone into decisions that they're going to deeply regret one day.
Gosh, I hope more people will read this book. It's called Detrans, The True Stories of Escaping the Gender Ideology Cult. I think it's a great book for parents and grandparents and medical professionals and educators because it's the stories of the actual kids. I think, Mary Margaret, that's what's so powerful. This isn't just talking to opinion experts and commentators. This is talking to the children themselves and hearing their stories and what it's done to them. If you want to keep up with Mary Margaret on social media or get a copy of the book, Detrans, The True Stories of Escaping the Gender Ideology. If you go to Huckabee.tv, find her guest page, and we will get you connected. And I hope you get her book. Keith, right now, you could throw us a bone and maybe give us a hint as what's coming up.
Well, stay right where you are. We've got puppies in the house. Wesley Williams and his puppy pals are ready to perform just after the break.
Well, this next act appeared on America's Got Talent and performed spectacular stunts in over 200 cities a year all over the USA. Now, that's pretty amazing, considering they started out in shelters, animal shelters. Their show is billed as the action-packed comedic stunt dog show featuring rescue dogs. You know I love dogs. I'm excited about them being here. Give a big welcome to Wesley Williams and Puppy Pals Live.
Yeah! Woo! Here we go, Rudy. Rudy. Here we go, Rudy up. Good, Rudy here, Rudy here. Good job, Rudy up. Good, Rudy here, Rudy here, Rudy here. Rudy. Good boy. Rudy, Rudy, here we go. Yeah! Good job. Up on the seat. Come on, Gizmo. Come on, Cash. Good job, Cash here. Cash, Cash. Good job. Come here, Bubba. Ready up. Up, 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 up. Yeah! Good job, good job, good job, good job. Gizmo, Gizmo. Here we go, ready, Gizmo, dribble. Dribble. Good job, Gizmo. And sit. Give it up for Gizmo. Good job, Giz. Nicely done. Okay, good job. All right, how about this one? Gizmo, ring the bell, Giz. Gizmo, come on. Yeah, good job, Gizmo. Nicely done. Good job, good job, good job, good job. Okay, ready? Gizmo, see? Rudy, here we go. Ready? All right, watch this. This hoop, that dog. Let's see it. Ready, Rudy? Here we go. There you go. Nicely done. Good job, Rudy. Good job. Where are you going? Hey, where are you going? What are you doing? Good job. Good job. All right. How about an even smaller hoop? Okay, here we go. Rudy, you ready? You ready, Rudy here? Watch this. Rudy, jump. Yeah! Good job, Rudy. Nicely done. All right, all three of them working together. Let's see. Ready, Rudy? Rudy, right up here. Rudy, up. Good job. Gizmo on top. Rudy pushing, Cash going in and out, and the crowd goes wild. Go, Cash, Cash. One more, Cash. One more. Yeah! Good job. Right over here. Good job, guys. Good job, good job. Rudy here. Here we go, Rudy. Here we go. Ready? A little jumping. Here we go. Jump, jump, jump. Yeah! Good job. Cash, Cash. He's gonna do it with a little style. Watch this. Ready, Cash? Ready, jump, roll over. Yeah! And roll over. Shake it out. Roll over. Roll over. Yeah! It helps with a little tickle. There you go. There you go. All right, good job, Cash. All right, for the grand finale, Gizmo, show them how you do it. That's not how you do it. What are you doing? Hey, Gizmo. Give it up for Giz. Okay, this one we need your help with. We're gonna work our way up to the top. Cash, you ready? All right, here comes Cash. Coming around. All right, here we go. Now, usually with this trick, the higher he goes, the louder the audience gets. Yeah! There he goes. Slowly but surely. Yeah! Good job, Cash. Gizmo, get on up there. Okay. All right, Gizmo knows it's his turn next. Gizmo, you ready to take on the high wire? Here we go. All right, Gizmo, we're not going for the couch, the high wire. Here we go, Giz. There you go. Making his way on up. Look at this. Yeah! Okay, 2 paws on, 3 and 4. He's halfway there. He's living on a prayer. He has done it! Good job, Giz. Nicely done. All right, let's show him that trick you've been working on. Gizmo, here we go. Ready, Gizmo? Sit, ready, hop. Sit, ready, hop. Sit, ready, hop. A little back flip. Look at that. Good job, Gizmo. Hey, nicely done. Good job. All right. Just when you thought it couldn't get better. Okay, a little jumping now. All right, we're going for height, we're going for distance. Here we go. Ready, Rudy? Rudy coming around. Turn the corner. Watch this. Up and over. Yeah! Turn it around and take it on back. All right! Good job. I think we can make it a little bit more difficult. A little bit more difficult. Not one, not two, but 3 hurdles at the very same time. Let's see if he's up here. Here comes Rudy right now. Coming around the corner. Rudy, jump! Yeah! Good job. All right, I know what you want already. The governor's got more hurdles back here. He's not impressed. That's right. All right, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 hurdles. And that's not a treat, Gizmo. That's a light. Come on, Giz. Good job. Right up here, Gizmo. All right, here comes Rudy. Rudy's coming around the corner. Rudy, jump! Yeah! All right. We hear the audiences are tough around here, so we brought 5. Don't worry. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hurdles. This is for only the most elite of athletes. I said the most elite of athletes. You're gonna jump. There he goes. He's... Good job. All right, here we go. Here comes Rudy right now. Coming around the corner. Rudy! Woo! Good job. Very good, very good. And all the way up to the tippy top. Here we go. Now, as Governor said, many of these dogs are rescue dogs from shelters. And then you see what they do now. Want to do every trick. All right, he's headed on up to the top. He's up there. Okay. Let's count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, jump! Yeah! Good job, Cash, Gizmo, and Rudy!
Let's give him a big hand, Wes Williams.
Give Governor a hug. He had us out here. Give him a hug.
Come on. You know how to do it. Yes, sir. Rudy, you guys did great. Wes, it is such a thrill to have you guys here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Loved it all the way. Hey, if you want to see more of Wesley Williams and the Puppy Pals live, maybe you'd like to book them for your event and follow them on social media. You should. Visit Huckabee.tv. Right now, Keith is going to sit up and speak, and Trey is going to be scratching for his own fleas. But while he's doing that, Keith, tell us what's next.
Well, when we come back, Taya Kyle talks about her inspiring new children's book and the healing journey after the loss of her husband, American sniper Chris Kyle. Then stick around for a beautiful performance by Brindley Brown on Huckabee. Huckabee.tv and get your very own made in the USA. Huckabee mugs, t-shirts, and more.
Well, we've been having some fun with Trey Corley and the Music City Connection, bringing us in with some phenomenal music as we enjoy. And if you ever come to our show here in Nashville and are part of our studio audience, you're going to get to hear a whole lot more of Trey Corley and the Music City Connection. I can tell you this audience, just like me, loves them some Trey Corley and Music City Connection. Absolutely. Taya Kyle was the wife of Chris Kyle, the highly decorated U.S. Navy SEAL who was the subject of the Oscar-winning film American Sniper. After his shocking murder by a disturbed veteran that he was trying to help, she has continued his work as an advocate for veterans' families and she's become a best-selling author on her own. Her latest book is an inspiring children's book, and it's just delightful. It's called Prayers for Bears. I love it. Please welcome Taya Kyle and her children, Colton and McKenna Kyle. Glad to have you guys here.
Thank you.
Taya, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
I so admire that with all the grief that you could have just absorbed yourself into, you have taken the focus of your life and you've helped so many of the people that Chris served with and the kind of people that Chris served with. What's kept you going? Because it would be easy just to be overcome by grief.
It is easy to become overcome by grief. And I don't say this lightly, but it is the grace of God. We were under a lot of attacks, not just the murder of Chris and Chad, but then lawsuits and other things that just seemed like there was no way we could get out from under it. And I feel like God put people around us who helped us and inspired us and allowed us to keep the fight. Our foundation, the Taya and Chris Kyle Foundation, there were times where I thought, we can't do this anymore. It's, how are we going to keep it going? And I felt so strongly that God came in and placed something in our laps and did it again and did it again. And I was like, all right, it's your mission. I just don't want to screw it up,
And the book itself is a book that's really not just a children's book. It's a wonderful spiritual story about dealing with adversity. It's told for a way a child could understand it. But tell us about, what does the bear find when trouble comes?
Okay, first of all, I'm so glad that you said that, because I feel like it's a book that you could send to a child in college or a parent going through a rough time, because it really is about gratitude, and it was inspired by Colton and McKenna. And our friend who told us right after Chris was killed that, I said, we might lose our house. I don't know how we're going to afford it.
Yeah.
And she said, you'll always have a roof over your head and food to eat because you have people who love you, right? So even if it's not our own roof. So Bailey in this story has a rotten day, and there are a lot of things going on that are disappointing. And Bailey's parents teach Bailey there's a prayer to pray where you're still grateful. It's not saying be grateful and the bad things don't matter.
Yeah.
It's saying the bad things happened and there are still things to be grateful for. That's what we found, and I think that's one of the main things that carried us.
Colton, you and McKenna, you were 8 and 9 years old when your dad was taken from you. I can't even imagine. You see him survive the horrors of war. He finally comes home, and it's not war that gets him, but it's a horribly mentally disturbed person. And yet you both have come through this, and you have deep faith. Colton, I love the fact that you are very interested in sharing the gospel. You are really immersed in Scripture and telling people about why to believe. But you're also working with the foundation and running some of that part of it. Your dad would be so proud of you. I know he would just be grinning with pride to see what you have become. What a great example of a young man. What is your hope for keeping his memory alive, but also your own faith?
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's definitely we've been blessed beyond measure. It's hard to even explain all the experiences and once-in-a-lifetime experiences, especially, that it seems like we've had all the time, which is the blessing that he left with his legacy. My hope is that I carry on his legacy and that I grow the American Sniper brand, because that's what I'm running, to something incredibly big, and all throughout, like you said, supporting TACF, the marriage, the servicemen and women and their marriages, as well as first responders and their spouses, through 2 years and 5 programs with TACF. But a portion of the proceeds that American Sniper makes on americansniper.com goes to the foundation, and that's my role. My passion is carrying on his legacy through the same pillars, the same 5 pillars in American Sniper, which are godliness, patriotism, passion, service, and excellence. I'm definitely passionate about the same things that my father was. Just, I believe I have a different calling on my life.
But I'm just thrilled to hear that you have embraced the legacy, because sometimes children, especially if they've gone through a trauma, instead of embracing it, they just want no part of it. And I think it's so beautiful. Taya, it's a great testament to you as a mom to see Colton and McKenna, who are 19 and 18 years old. McKenna, what's your hope in life? I know you're passionate about many of the things you do, but what is it that you feel like God's calling you to do?
I'll definitely see where he takes me. For right now, I'm focused on showing what law enforcement does and the people behind the badge. I feel like they're not very well portrayed in the media, and people often dislike them because of what they see of them. And I don't think they see enough of what they actually do and how much they actually care. So I'm working with Sheriff Bill Wayburn of Tarrant County. I'm doing his social media, and I'm hoping to be a sheriff's deputy at some point.
You know, I just want to tell you, how many people who are in their teens are passionate about helping explain what police officers and first responders do, carrying on the legacy of those who have served us in combat. Taya, you've got to be the proudest mom in America.
Well, thank you. I am. I do feel like God gave me kids that are better than Chris and I deserved. So I give him the credit. But yeah, I'm always amazed at them. I'm so blessed.
Well, we're blessed to have you here. And I want to tell you, this is a book I actually can understand, and I read every bit of it. I got it for my grandchildren, and you will love it for your kids or grandkids. They are going to love Taya Kyle's beautiful new book, Prayers for Bears. And it's a great story. So it's uplifting. And if you'll go to Huckabee.tv, you can get your copy. Links also to the American Sniper brand and to the Taya and Chris Kyle Foundation.
That's our show for tonight, folks. Go to Huckabee.tv for more information on all of tonight's guests and to see an online exclusive performance of Sanctuary by Brindley Brown. Join Huckabee next week for Venia CEO Elon Sobel, comedian Shonda Pierce, animator Butch Hartman, and more. Thanks for watching Huckabee.